Yeah, we were talking about the bestseller topic. What we understood from the topic is the story is about the writer's acquaintance, or you can say that strange friend whose name is called as John O. Pescud. And the writer and John O. Pescud, they met on a train, or yeah, after 2 years. And John did what? Criticizes. John criticizes whom? John criticizes the book bestseller, and stated that the novels to be repetitive, isn't it? And he says what? He says that the difference in the characters in these books is not realistic, right? So, which book he was talking about? He was criticizing the book called as a bestseller. And what did he say? He said that these books are are called as the difference in the characters in these books is unrealistic or something which is not real. The story of a royal princess falling for a business executive from Chicago who is far away from kingdoms and royalty, uh, that appears unrealistic to him. When they talk further, right, and you find out that John tells the writer about his personal life and how he met his wife, the same unrealistic bestseller story, you can say that comes out to be his real life story, right? So, and that's what is the whole story of the bestseller is all about, right? So, if I'm talking about means the narration of the bestseller, or if you talk about the summary of the bestseller, we can find out that how in one day in summers, when the writer was traveling to where? Traveling to Pittsburgh by train. So what happened? He met an old friend by the name of John Opiscott. So they were meeting each other after 2 years. So John was a traveling agent for a plate glass company. So John believed that the plate glass was the most important thing in the world. Also, you would find out that the company which he was talking about was best in the world. So he had been reading the bestseller novel. So, and what was the novel he was reading? He was reading the novel called as The Rose Lady and the Traveling, right? What he was reading? The Rose Lady and the Traveling, right? And what did he talk about that? He tells the writer the story of it. The story of what? The story of the Rose Lady and Traveling. So he said that there is an American executives, right, or executive who is, very fashionable, like a hero, and he falls in love with a European princess, right? So Piscot believed that what such stories were such stories like one of the hero comes out from the very small background and fall in a love with the princess. So Piscot believed that what such stories are unrealistic. Why? No, because he believed in real life a boy marries a girl of what a similar social status, right? So who is locally placed, right? Then John tells him that professionally he is doing extremely well, right? And the company has given him what? Given him a raise, or increasing of his salary 2 times. So, and he also stated that the stocks in the company and that he has even invested in real estate, right? As to his personal life, you can find out John tells that what? The incident where he met his wife, he was traveling to Cincinnati, right? When he come across what, or when he came across a pretty girl, right? He wished to marry her and so started following her. So his chase finally landed him where? Now landed him in Virginia. She was accompanied, or she was with by an old man up to a huge mansion. So John could not believe that the destination of you can say that of this mediocre looking girl was such a lavish, huge mansion. So, which looked like the capital located in Washington. So, at the village, you would find out that he came to know that she was the daughter of whom? She was the daughter of Colonel uh, Allen, right? Who is Colonel Allen? Now, Colonel Allen is the biggest and finest man in Virginia. So John met her, and after talking to her, came to know that her name means was Jessie, and that her father was the royal descendant of a famous British family. Jessie tells John that what she was aware that Jessie knew that the man was following. So that's why Jessie tells the man that what means you can say that Jesse was aware. Jesse was aware what? Jesse was aware that how he had been following her all along while coming to home, so that her father would feed him to the hounds, right? And that her father means would feed him to the hounds. So if he dared to talk to him about his proposal, so means John was determined, and the next day he reached the mansion to meet the colonel. So he was surprised to see what? He was surprised to see the worn out interiors and old furniture. So the colonel arrived in style, although his clothes were shabby. So they chattered and shared funny stories. John was, accepted by them, and it had been a year since they got married. John had built a house in the east, and the colonel also lived with them. The train reaches John's destination. Where is the destination? The destination is called as a Coketown, right? Which is a dull and a scary place. The writer inquires about his purpose of a visit, and John tells him that he is going to get, you can say that petunias for Jesse, right? So he invites the writer over to his place. So as the train moves, the writer sees or looks at the bestseller and smiles at whom? Smiles that John of Pescud's own story was nothing short of a what? A bestseller. So it means so whatever he said was nothing but the same as the book named The Rose and the Traveling, isn't it? So that is what all about the story. Am I clear? Did you get the point? This is what nothing but the story which the
Yes,
book
sir.
has pointed, isn't it? Now, uh, I think we have covered couple of things, but it's better like if we go through it again. So what we can find out in the first part of it, you can say that the author said, or the writer who is talking about a particular day. That story begin with what? The how the writer is talking about a particular day, right? Um, that was, you can say, last year in the months that having summer season, and the writer says that he had to go to Pittsburgh. He had to go to Pittsburgh for summer. For summer, yeah. Um, he had to go to Pittsburgh last summer for work, not for any kind of a vacation or enjoyment. He was sitting on a means you can say that railroad car chair with car with the chairs having adjustable backs, right? And he found the chair car to be filled with nothing but a sufficient number of people, meaning that the car was neither empty nor too full. Then he means who the writer talks of the water, talks of the passenger sitting in the car. There were ladies also who were wearing. You can say that there were ladies who were uh, yeah, wearing what? Wearing brown colored dresses, which are made of silk with yokes, uh, laces and dotted bells. Also, as a you can say that what? When you say yoke means called as a part of a garment that fits over the shoulders and to which the main part of the garment is attached. And when we talk about chair car, it means we are talking about a railroad car having pairs of chairs, two chairs with individually adjustable backs on each side of the means as you can say that each side of the means or each side of the means um, passenger, right? So, and when we talk about tepidest, Tepidest, tepidest means called as a feeling for showing no interest or enthusiasm. So here also you would find out when the author was stating about the ladies who were wearing brown colored dresses that are made of silk with the yokes, so laces and dotted small spot mark wells as a part of their dress. So they were the ones who refused to open the window. Um, so windows, otherwise their hairstyle gets ruined, right? If they opened the window, what happened? Now their hairstyle get ruined. So then there were men also who were generally businessmen, right? So the writer just moved forward. Sorry, the writer leaned back. Leaned back means what? That called as a move backward. So in his chair. So uh, he was sitting where? He was sitting on chair number seven, and he leaned idly or lazily. He just moved. Then what happened? Meaning that he had nothing to do at that moment except to look around and observe that what observe his surroundings. He then spotted another passenger, and he observed that the man were with no interest. Only the head of the man was visible above the back of his chair. So the man had a small black bald head, small black bald head. Bald head means very less, you can say that hair present. And the man was just sitting on chair number nine, right? Then we talk about that suddenly the man sitting. Suddenly, the man sitting on chair number nine, what happened? He threw a book, or the book fell from his hands on the floor between his chair and the window. The writer looked at the book and find out that the book was nothing but The Rose Lady and Traveling. So the book was a popular book and was considered to be one of the best-selling novels. The man sitting on the chair number nine, so the one who was reading that book, so turned his chair towards the window. The author identifies that he was the same old acquaintance of him. The man sitting on chair number nine turned out to be John of Piscud, John A. Piscud of Pittsburgh. So he was a traveling salesman for a company that dealing in large sheets of glass. So he had not seen the man in the last 2 years. It means 2 years ago he met that person, right? So and when he found out that person, so he immediately said that I wish you might know John of Piscot, right? So means he is of the stop that heroes are not often lucky enough to be made of. So he is nothing but a small man with what? A small man with a, you can say that smile, white smile, you can say, and an eye that appears to be what fixed upon that little red spot on the end of that man's nose, right? So uh, if you look into that, it had been just 2 minutes since John of Piscot turned his chair. You can say that in those 2 minutes, they had shaken their hands and had discussed about what? Discussed about various topics like rain, prosperity. Prosperity means happiness, health, residence, and destination. So they would have gone on and have talked about nothing but a politics, but the problem is what the author did not find or like politics, and so he was, happy to know that he was not that unlucky, right? So that is what you would find out. Then the author also stated about what while talking to John of Iscott, so the author who discovered that what the man believed plate glass to be the most popular or most important resource in the world. The author was, you can say that, happy or felt happy by that, or by way John referred to plate glass as what? As our plate glass company. So John of Piscot also considered the Cambria still works to be the best company, and that when a man was in his hometown most of his time, there was a good possibility for the man to be a good and a humble person. Now, if you see that also, the writer who was getting to know John Piscott and his ideas so more, John then told him the reason why he was traveling in the train. So he said that more customers were buying their plate glass ever since the company held a convention or meeting in which they discussed means the owner of the company and John Pescud discussed some strategies to increase the sale of the commodity. Commodity means product. In other words, their new strategy resulted in an you can say that increase in the sale of plate glass. So he was going to Coketown. So then John Pescud changed the subject by addressing the book he had thrown away before. Right. The book was nothing but called as a still in the ground. Hence, the reason why it is referred to as a means discarded book. Discarded book means the book which is useless or called as a rejected book. So he moved to the book slightly and asked whom? Asked the writer if he had read the book. So he then described the book as the what? As the you can say that kind of a book where the hero or the male protagonist means main character, right? So he's American and rich, who described the book as the kind of a book where the hero or the male pregnant is American and are rich. So even you would find out that fashionable and upper class person from Chicago, sorry, fashionable upper class person from Chicago and who falls in love with a princess from Europe. So the princess is traveling under a fake name, and the hero is also in love with her that he follows the princess to her father's kingdom or the princely state from where she began. So then he assumed what? Then he assumed that he had such a book, because most of the you can say that bestsellers often had such a plot, right? Often had such a plot, right? Are you listening?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then you would find out how the writer then said the hero, right? Said that the hero then meets the king. Hero then meets the king, right? So his bodyguards around like everything, wherever or whenever they get in his way. He is a great fencer, right? Fencer means called as a barrier too. Yes, Piscott said also. But these kind of a love stories are rank on the label. I know something about literature, even if I'm in plate class. So here you would find out how the writer then said that means the hero means then meet the king, that is the father of the princess, and does not let the bodyguard or the soldiers stop him from meeting the king or the princess. The hero is also a good, great fencer, right? Meaning that the hero is generally better than the king when it comes to combat, right? Biscuit aggresses with the writer. He then said what? He then said that the book he was reading came under the category of what? Under the category of high-ranking books. He added that you can say that he knew some things about literature as well. So even though he was a company dealing in plate glass, right? Uh, then you would find out that how Piscot sold that in rest life, right? Or sorry, in real life. So people married someone who was, you can say that on the rank. Mhm. So he talked about what Piskat said that what in real life people married someone who was on the same rank with them. A man usually selected a girl whom he had known previously. Right, for example, a girl who went to the same high school, or a girl who belonged to the same clubs as him. So basically, a man generally picked a girl whom he had spent some time while he was a teenager. After saying that, you can find out John Piscud, who picked up the book, and you can say that started. started flipping the pages, right? Flipping the pages to find the one he needed. He then told the writer to listen to the uh, content of a particular page. He told him that what? He told him that he was narrating a scene from the story in which the hero is, sitting with the princess at the back of the tulip garden. It's a name of the garden, you can say that. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So after that, what happened? You can find out the hero was, you can say, telling the princess to not speak about something that made him lose faith in his ambition. So he told her that what? He told her that she was the dearest and sweetest of Earth's most fair and beautiful flowers. She was a star. Who was a star? Means uh, the author who was talking about the princess. She was a star who was high in the sky, who always have a high motivation in a place referred to as a what? Royal heaven. So he then said, uh, who? Najana Pescud said that while she was brilliant and radiant, he was only a man with none of the radiance that she possessed. Right. However, you can find out that he was a human being with a heart. Right. So he had the ability to do what? He had the ability to do, to dare, and to aspire. He may, or he may have no royal power except the title of being a prince of an uncrowned sovereign. But he also had an arm with a sword, right, with which were powerful enough to free, free anyone from and any evil power, right, or evil force. So that the hero tried to do what? Tried to tell was that even though possibility of the princess and him to be together were low, right, he would continue to do and he aspired for the good, isn't it? So when we talk about the author stated, think of a Chicago man picking a sword and talking about feeling anything that sounded as much like you can say canned sadness. So here the author wanted to point out that I think I understand you, John, right? So you want fiction writers to be, consistent for their scenes and characters. They should not mix Turkish pashas with the Vermont farmers, or you can say that English dudes with Long Island or Long Island clam digger, or Cincinnati agents with the Rajas of India. Right. So here we find out couple of words which may create difficulty to you. So the first one is called as a consistent. So when we talk about consistent, it indicates that not regular, irregular. So that contains any logical tradition. So second one is called as a Turkish Pashas. Right. If you say that what a high official of the Ottoman Empire is known as a Turkish Pashas. Right. Then you can talk about the fourth one, which is called as a Vermont. Vermont is a state of northeast U.S. bordering Canada, right? Next, you would find out clam diggers. So when we talk about clam diggers, so people who hunt for what? Who hunt for claims, who hunt for clams, right? So and they generally kill the shellfish and they use the edible oil out of it, right? So you can say that what after finishing reading the conversation, right? So John of Piscot said that that the conversation sounded like a Chicago man with a sword who talked of it or who talked as if he could free anything, but the only thing he would really free was a can of sadness. So the writer then responded that he understood what he meant to buy. So Piscot did what? Piscot wondered. Piscot's wonder or wanted fiction writers to make logical scenes and characters. So they should not compare. They should not compare the power of a high official or the common empire with a farmer, right? So a duke or a king with the people, right? Whole Wholesale job is to hunt for edible shell. So, or you can talk about that what uh, are agents doing social work with their what with their Indian rajas, right? So it is also said that what means how Pescud, right? When we talk about Pescud, so Pescud also added that what added that the writers of bestseller like the computer, right? Or sorry, like compare the power of the aristocracy with the negligible power pen businessman process. He said that what he said that it did not fit. It did not fit with whom happened in real life. Right? No one had ever heard of any real life story where something so far faced and lizards. Uh, so far praised and you can say that illogical and occurred. So the writer replied what that he had not read a bestseller in a long time, but uh, he had some he had some rough ideas about ideas about the company, uh, or you can talk about um, about himself. He asked John if he was doing all right in the company for which he was working in, isn't it? So you would find out that here also means Piscot, right? Piscot force brightened with happiness, right? Why? Now because he told the writer that he was doing an excellent job in the company. His salary had raised two times since he had lost his you can say that he had lost a scene in writer. So which was 2 years ago. He got a commission too. He had you can say that he had a nice paper of real estate come under his name. Right. Next year, the farm was going to sell him a part of the company. He conducted that he was about to the what about to the greatly wealthy in Parliament past or in few years, right? So the writer then asked whom? Asked him if he had found someone to marry or if he was having to or having uh, oh, I did not tell you about that date, right? Pushkar said with a broader grin, right? Oh, ho, I said. So you have taken off enough time from your play class to have romance. So John said, no romance, nothing like that. But I still feel what I still feel. You can say that what? Uh, you can say that what? Mm, I will tell you about it. So I was on the south bound going to Cincinnati about 18 months ago. And when I saw across the Azle, right, or passage or the road, the finest looking girl I had ever laid eyes on. Nothing spectacular about that woman, right? But just the sort of what, the sort you want to uh, keep, right? Want for kids or called as a calm. Now, the next one is stated about what? Piscot, who gave a big grin, big smile. He asked the writer if he had not told him anything about that yet. So the writer exclaimed with a surprise that he had taken some time of it. You can say that's a plate glass business to do something romance. And you can say that John said that he had not not done any romance and said that he would tell him what he would tell him all about it, right? He began his story. He exploited that he was traveling such to Cincinnati around 18 months ago with he saw what the most beautiful girl sitting across the aisle, and he did not fall you can say that he did not fall head head over heels for what? For her. But he felt like she was the sort of a girl who would want to be with forever, right? So then you would find out how the girl was reading a book and did not, you can say, interact much with anyone around her. And you also find out this mate, right? This made her character look more attractive to John. So he did not look at her, but he could see her. But he could see her from what? From the corner of his eyes. So he rather, or he then show, or he then saw what? He then saw that she got out of the carriage and went to cottage with a big garden with the vines running over the porch. John had no intention of speaking to her, but he was so drawn. He was so drawn to the woman that he decided to do what? Decided to forget about the plate glass business for a while, isn't it? So, and here we find out in the next part where we talk about how a train containing cars uh, means in which people can sleep, right? So John said that what? John said that the girl got aboard. The girl got aboard a different cable or a Cincinnati. She then took a sleeper and traveler to Lugia, right? Or you can say that travel to Louisville. At Louisville, she bought another ticket and she went to Shelbyville, so Frankfurt and Lexington, where he had to hard time following her. He realized that what? He realized that the girl was just going to place without any opinion or without any particular reason. So she got off one, you can say that one train and immediately boarded another one, right? Hence you can say she was not going to specific place. She was just wandering or surprising here and there. Then she got off the trains or turning instead of towns, right? So that is what you would find out. Give me a second.